I think I'll defer to Jeff here since we have firsthand experience here. I can chime in a little bit at the end, but.
Thanks, Justin. Hey, again, I want to mention about the people. Okay, for automotives, that section, we short labor actually across the country. I believe it's 190,000 people. Then for automotive alone, really our challenge, how do we get the skill set, the people? I'm not saying blue collar, but it's the hourly associate. So we need to offer the better training. The human resource, if I make a suggestion for the investor come over to the US, you better send your HR team first, okay, to talk about how do you manage your people? Where do you get your technical people, the management people, and also where do you get your associate, hourly people? And of course, for automotive, we have to follow the customer, because where's OEM that? The GM, VW, and FCA or BMW. Also, I make suggestion. Probably it's not right, but do not require a lot of people. I think for me, we hired so far today 2,400 people, because the Dayton region, I think just to know better, that work pool is kind of small. So you have a less chance to select the best people you can have. So you have a small operation, you can run phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. You follow your market trend. So start from 100, 200, then 500. Don't have to be like, hire 1,000 people. Really, really hard. That's a challenge not only for a Chinese company, I believe for a US company as well. So how can we get there? If your company have great culture, that's my number one priority. We're going to build a great culture. So let the people work for you. They're going to stay as long as they can, because the people make a difference. So we are in automotive, so you have a different layer of people, but the company culture, how do you train them is very important. So the investor come over to US, I almost forgot, follow the OSHA, okay? That is a safety thing, okay? We learn a lot from OSHA, okay? In China, we know safety is number one, but it's not that tricky or straight like US. So US safety is law, okay? So you have to follow the safety law. So we learn from that, and today, I'm proud, our safety record is much better than our competitors, okay? So we do everything from people. Human resource, people is number one. Thank you.
If I could just add a couple of things, largely I absolutely echo Jeff's statement. If there are any Chinese investors out there that want to bring 1,000 jobs to Ohio, I have my business cards. I'd be happy to speak with you about that opportunity after this panel discussion. But in all honesty, workforce is a challenge everywhere you go. Finding qualified workers and getting workers trained is a challenge that we all face. And I think as states, we need to do a better job training the workforce of tomorrow for the jobs of tomorrow. That's certainly an emphasis that our governor is trying to put a lot of hard work into to make sure the workforce is there for these workers, for these jobs.
Right. Thanks. I would echo Jeff's comment also about people. I do think that the culture of managing a US team is very different from the culture of managing a team in China. We have had some companies, they come to talk with us and we're planning the factory and they say, 宿舍该放在哪里, and for all the workers, where will their dormitory be? And we said, no. American workers are not used to living in the dormitory. So it is true that there are kind of fundamental misperceptions about the way that the US companies are run. So overall, get more and more local knowledge. And that's why partners like Justin and myself, please talk to us. My colleague Yahang is from Zhengzhou. You can talk to her too. Where are you? There you go. So talk to Yahang. But do talk to local people to try to learn more about the local conditions. I will also say that I think Chinese firms in general have not been so willing to pay money for lawyers and accountants. And this, I think, is a mistake. This is a mistake. Because a lot of times, 你可以少走很多弯路, right? You can actually save yourself a lot of trouble by finding some experts to point you in the right direction from the beginning.
Very important, yeah.
In the
we
US,
all use the top firm, right? like a EY, PwC, and also the big lawyer firm. Very important follow the law in U.S. We're not, when you come over here, you're not mentioned by your Chinese company. So we call it a global company because we really, for business, it's no boundary. Okay, so don't have to wear the Chinese company there. That's why the people trust you're gonna earn others' respect. Okay, so you have to earn it. It's not automatic because you're the boss, I replace you. No, this is something you do, then you're gonna earn that trust. Thank you.
Well, I would be grateful for the panel's thoughts on which industries, which segments do you think have the greatest potential? Where would you encourage our audience to be investing? Would it be in manufacturing, in services, natural resources, agriculture? I'd be grateful for your thoughts. And maybe we could start with Brian. You had some very good examples, and be grateful for your thoughts on which segments of the market have the best prospects at this time.
I'm excited to hear my colleagues' comments as well. Automotive is one where many Chinese companies have been making a lot of money, so I can't speak so much to some of the others. In automotive, in Michigan, many of the big companies that you have heard of in China are doing business in Michigan already. So Shangqi was one of the first to come, Guangqi, Changcheng, Beiqi, Bordrin, many of the Chinese, Xiaokang. A lot of them they have R&D centers there. So an R&D center is not a good way to make money. I'm sure you know that. R&D centers are not generally profitable, but they are very important for the long-term strategy and the market entry for those companies when they want to introduce their products into the US market in the long run. Some of the suppliers that are supplying to Ford, GM, FCA, I think has been a sweet spot in Michigan. Many of those suppliers have successful relationships with their customers in China. They're brought over to be a part of the supply chain for the North American automotive industry. And some of those automotive suppliers, including, of course, Fuyao, which also has 300 people in Michigan, have been very successful. So come invest in auto.
Outside Jeff,
I also come from Michigan. My family is living in Michigan. For automotive only, I can speak on the automotive. Yes, there's a lot of demand because the capacity depends on your commodity. There's a capacity issue in the U.S. because a lot of U.S. investor or business owner, we find out, 富不过三代, 3 generation actually. A lot of U.S. company, the owner, they try to sell their business because a lot of young talent people, they all go to Wall Street. They'll go to the investor and earn a quick money. So the 3rd generation of U.S. owner, they try to sell their business. That's a lot of opportunity. We learn a lot. So this is the opportunity for us. Come over to U.S., merge acquisition, take over the business because guess what? Even we're in U.S., the Chinese people work so hard. They suffer a lot of their family time. That's why we can really bring this business back to life again. So my advice will come over. There's a lot of opportunities you can find out through the merger acquisition. Get foot inside U.S., and I think you can do it. Actually, it's much better because we're hardworking people. Thank you.
I think, in addition to Michigan, we see a lot of activity primarily in the automotive sector from China. But there are other opportunities out there that I think some Chinese companies may not be aware of in Ohio, some other sectors. Some areas that we're looking into are chemical companies, companies that could take advantage of the shale gas play in eastern Ohio. And I think there's some opportunity for companies to get involved. We have enormous timber resources in Ohio. So I think there's got to be some opportunities for Chinese companies in the paper and wood products areas as well. But historically, it's automotive and advanced manufacturing in Ohio.
So far, manufacturing. Elsie?
Well, I have background in manufacturing too as well, so I would echo that. But on top of that, I would think, healthcare is probably a very emergent industry that would attract a lot of investors. My understanding, based on my conversation with a lot of Chinese investors from China, they are very interested in this area because of the population aging in China would require a lot of new technologies, techniques, business models to help them just seize the opportunity in the market. They want to learn from the US at the same time. They can also enjoy the return from their investments in China. So a number of business models I have seen, they have entered the long-term care industry here. Genworth was acquired by Fanhai Jituan, Ocean, I think it was called Ocean Wide Group. And then also the healthcare equipment. It's always been a very hot market for the investors. So I would think that healthcare might be a new area.
Peter, tech?
Okay, sure. I think there are opportunities in tech. That's what I know. I don't know these other areas. There have been Chinese acquisitions of Matson Semiconductor. They're an equipment player in the semi space. A former colleague, now a CEO at Matson, owned by a Chinese entity. There are other opportunities. ByteDance has set up shop, I think, in the U.S. And is very promising given the great ingenuity behind that online platform. And so, and then the big MNCs clearly have an ambition to scale, and they can do so. The most important thing, I think Brian was talking about having the right type of help to navigate. It's extremely important to have lawyers to help you act in accordance with U.S. law and regulations and policies and executive orders. I think sometimes companies are unaware of what they need to do. They have to abide by the letter of the law, and getting the right type of assistance and support in all various forms is extremely important, and not being insular to be successful. But the great companies of China are going to make inroads, and we know them all. We're partners to all of them, particularly in the tech space, and we think they have great promise. But sometimes there are self-inflicted wounds in terms of how they try to enter the US marketplace. And once they clean up those types of errors, going forward, I see great success.
Well, let's open it up to the audience, please. We would be grateful for any questions that you might have. 如果英文是一个问题的话，我认为我们可以回答中文的问题。
Okay, hello. Yeah, first, thank you very much for the very insightful panel discussion. My name is Charlene. I'm with China Daily. Early on, Evan mentioned that one of the most disturbing factors for the Chinese investor here is less friendly U.S.-China relations and also the ongoing trade dispute. So my first question is for Mr. Liu with Fuyao. So how has the ongoing trade dispute affected Fuyao's business in the United States, and what is your main concern? And what are the main actions Fuyao has taken to avoid the negative impact? And my second question is for Ohio and for Michigan, because you two are very active in attracting Chinese business that have very successful record. So from a state perspective, how has this ongoing trade dispute affected your ability in attracting Chinese business, and what kind of proactive action you've been taking to avoid the impact? Thank you.
All right, thanks for the question. The terror thing, like Peter, we mentioned about, it's going to impact for automotive, everybody. Okay, so we actually import very small amount of glass from China to US. Obviously, first one will go back to my customer. Hey, I'll try to pass on, the tariff. And for BMW as example, BMW, they actually export all the BMW X5 back to China. Okay, $1 billion every single year. So we're a small potato. Those guys going to have the bigger voice. You know what? They're going to ask Washington. You know, if the tariff's going to 25%, I believe it's not only Fuyao. We have a small impact. A lot of suppliers, especially from Michigan, I believe the Intel, this both will get a bigger hit. Us, we have to have, first of all, we're going to think about ourselves, okay? What happens if customers don't buy your tariff, okay? You have to do something, improve yourself. You know, that's why we have to have action. We're going to move our management, get them more leaner, and also what do you call the communication, lean manufacturing, Six Sigma, whatever you're going to involve, you can try to make yourself more actually efficiency better than your competitors. So my goal is I can do better on my competitors, okay? So everybody have the same issue. Who can survive, that's a key. Okay, tariff is nothing we can do, but something you can do by yourself. You can control it, then you can survive, then have a better chance to win more business.
I'll be interested on Brian's perspective on this as well, but I think from our perspective, we've seen a number of projects go on hold. People are very cautious and tentative about proceeding with their greenfield investments in the state. They want to see how the trade war plays out. So I can think of a number of projects where people have told me it doesn't mean that it's canceled, it means they want to wait until the situation is resolved. We have had we're working on some investments right now that are still going to go through, but far and away the activity has been strongly diminished.
Same as your experience, I think companies are wait and see right now. Many investors don't like the uncertainty. We had one company tell us, actually, if the tariffs stay where they are, we will put a small sales office in America. If the tariffs go up to 25%, we will actually put manufacturing in America because we'll need to jump over the tariff to localize. So that sounds like it's good for us. And maybe in some cases it is, in a small way. But of course, the pie does get smaller. Any macroeconomist will tell you that the pie overall will get smaller with those tariffs. It also affects, as you were saying, a lot of other regions besides China. There are, suppliers, Michigan-based companies with huge operations in China that may have to shift around their supply chains. But all of them would prefer either that you just tell us what's going to happen for the next 5 years or 10 years. Are there going to be tariffs or no tariffs? But surprisingly, I think too at the same time, and it's worth mentioning that there are some companies in the U.S. that have not been as vocal about the tariffs as you might expect. It may be hurting their pocketbooks, but there also is a sentiment worth mentioning that the business environment in China is not as friendly now toward American business as it was 5 years ago or 10 years ago in a few aspects, whether it's market access or intellectual property or other areas. So it's a complex thing. You can look just at the tariffs. I think it's important to look at the whole picture of the relationship too when looking at the issue.
Questions from the audience? I think we have a few more minutes, and we would welcome your questions, please.
Thank you very much, Craig. I'm Zhang Qi with China's Caixin Media. So my question goes to Peter regarding the Huawei sanctions. I'm wondering, in short term, what Intel's gonna do to mitigate this export control measure, and in the long term, what's Intel's plan to cooperate and to deal with business with Chinese tech companies? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Huawei is a $107 billion successful and iconic Chinese company that has grown its business all over the world. They are a partner to Intel, and we have valued their business for many years. We have spoken to the administration about the entity listing of Huawei, and we believe the products that we sell to Huawei should continue. We are acting in accordance with the Bureau of Industry and Security regulation. At the same time, we are in active communication with founder Ren and all of our counterparts at Huawei. Again, when you act on a one-off basis against a particular company, then the other country will respond in kind. And China has established an unreliable entity list and is now investigating Ford and FedEx. And I don't know the details of that, but I do know that when you take these actions against companies that is punitive, rather than trying to work with that company to improve their internal processes, and Huawei can do that in certain parts of their network, their core network, their cloud, their handsets, there don't appear to be issues. Other parts of Huawei's network are more challenging, but it's better to try to reach mutually agreed solutions to improve cyber hygiene versus taking regulatory steps that are so dramatic and impact the American company as well as the Chinese company. So we try to work with the White House and the Department of Commerce and the other agencies on an intense cooperative basis to find the right solution and give them ideas about how to work effectively with China and important companies like Huawei.
Perhaps we have time for one more. We would welcome your questions, please.
My name is John Main. I'm Managing Director for Linvest Consulting. I happen to be working with inbound Chinese investment for many years. My first encounter was actually Fuyao Glass when Mr. Chow came to Greenville in '95, and I also worked with Haier in '99. I remember when the first wave of Chinese investment came, many of them didn't have a credit card. They didn't know how to gas up at a gas station. So yes, we see a lot of challenges these days. But as I work with many different Chinese investors, large and small, they were successful because they overcame a lot of hurdles along the way in China in the past 2-3 decades. And the majority of our Chinese projects, I suppose that Justin and Brian would second me on that, which is they are mostly by the private-owned Chinese companies because export is considered as dirty work. You know, you have to compete with suppliers from around the world. So personally, I'm very hopeful that they are very adaptable. So hopefully we'll, as we work with different state organizations, development agencies, together we can find a solution to overcome some of the challenges we see today. So just a quick comment. Hopefully that will lead some.
I would second your comment, very much so. The states are important. When you are looking for an investment location, working with the governor, working with the mayor is extremely important because the federal government, the central government, will treat every investor, be it Chinese, American, or Iceland, or Nigerian, the same. The states can offer benefits, and the states can give you expertise. The states have money. It is really the state governments that are the critical decision makers for each and every person in this room. So when, over the next few days, I really encourage you to speak as much as possible with as many state representatives as you can to find an ideal location for your investment. I'm not sure if we have any additional questions. If not, we can close. So one last chance. Okay, please.
Great panel. My name is Adam, and I'm Chinese company here. I think I found a very interesting phenomenon regarding the tariffs. Both American chambers and Republican leaders respond. For example, President Trump said they're going to put 5% on Mexican in terms of the illegal immigration stuff, and then I read the news that the American Chamber of Commerce come over and they say we're going to sue the president, right? And then the Republican majority leaders say we're going to block the bill. But when the other thing is like when they put 5%, 25% on Chinese products, I didn't see it, the similar actions. Maybe I didn't see, maybe I don't know, but I just find it a little bit interesting about the different stuff. And then, I mean, happily, the Mexicans settle down on this tariffs, and then you see everybody is happy, and the stock going up, and everything looks fine. So I just want to try to understand, because as a Chinese company here for 9 years, we try to understand how the business, government, they work together, and how, for example, like when we read some news reports from Chinese side, say all the American people, business sides in the U.S. keep a kind of silence in a period of time. So I just want to hear you guys' comments on the two scenarios, about the tariffs, and in order to correct some stuff that the president don't think going well. Thank you.
Well, let me make a brief comment. I think that your point is well taken, that the current trade actions taken by the administration are not directed against China alone. The Europeans, the Canadians, the Mexicans, the Japanese, the Koreans are all pretty unhappy. So it's not only our Chinese friends at all. That said, your other point is also important, and that is that the Chinese exporters have been the only ones to be hit by 301 actions. And I think that point is very, very important. And as Brian said, the key there is for both governments to get together and to make an agreement as soon as possible to resolve those issues so we could raise to a higher plateau of trade and investment between our two countries. About 1 month ago, that looked like it was going to happen. It looked inevitable. We were putting the champagne into the refrigerator, but we have taken it out now. But hopefully when the two presidents get together on June 29 in Osaka, we will be able to get there, and we should both support both of our governments to have the political will and the political courage to come to an agreement to address the real issues that will benefit both of our economies. And that is possible. The reforms requested by the US side will help China grow more quickly for the next 10 years. They are economically very rational. So let us hope that we will come to a good solution that leaves us all better off as a result of all of this tension and anxiety. At the end of this, let us hope that there is peace and growth and prosperity for all. And with that, I think that we should end this session. Please join me in thanking our panelists.